I know, because I took the engine out. It took me 10 days to do it.
Okay, 6 o'clock.
So, I hate to give you that bad news.
Yeah. Okay, we will now call to order the Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District regular board meeting for November 2nd. We Pledge of Allegiance. Lanny, could you lead us?
Put your hands over your heart. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And roll call, please.
Director Mishler?
Here.
Director Magner?
Here.
Director Kelly? Here. Director Malloy?
Here.
Chairman Dixon?
Here. Okay. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
Director Magner?
Aye.
Director Malloy?
Aye.
Director Mishler?
Aye.
Director Kelly? Chairman Dixon?
Aye. And presentations, district highlights.
Chairman Dixon, members of the board, tonight I'd like to bring to you the district highlights for the November 2nd meeting. Starting off with sports, we're already thinking about next season. The softball season and kickball season end obviously this month. However, in January, we will have our coaches and managers meeting, going over new rules, the registration procedures, and so we're already planning for winter and getting that going. The Senior Center had a rummage sale on Saturday, October 7th with over 90 vendors, well attended by 750 shoppers, and it was a nice day this year. A couple of years ago, if you remember, we had I think a 100-degree day, and everybody just stopped walking around. So this year we had some nice weather and a good turnout. The Halloween dance was 2 days ago, and that was well attended by 150 participants. They came in costumes, and it was a busy day with us at the district there on Halloween. Upcoming, we've got the Riverside Casino excursion on November 7th and 9th, November 7th through the 9th, 3-day excursion to Laughlin. You can call the Senior Center for that information at 482-4881. And then on January 5th, we'll have the New Year's Dance. This will be kicking off the new year for the Senior Center. It's a semi-formal event with light appetizers, $7 in advance, $10 at the door for any of our seniors that would like to go. The Aquatic Center. They had a spooky swim event on Friday night. 52 kids registered, and 43 more participants arrived at the pool for swimming. This is something that Macy puts on every year. It's a good turnout, and we enjoy doing it. And then we also want to mention to you that the Certified Pool Operator course is November 8th through the 9th. It's an all-day course that we're hosting this year, and that you can contact Macy at the Aquatic Center. Outdoor education. Tomorrow night we'll have the origami flower making class. Create flowers with origami, and Emily will be teaching this. And our adult nature hike is on Saturday, November 4th from 3 to 4:30, exploring the trail down by Mission Oaks Park, taking a look at different things. This will be led by one of our nature professionals. Sorry. Parks Department. The highlighted parks this month will be Pitts Ranch Park, Foothill Park, and Keto Park. Pitts Ranch Park was built in 2003. It offers a wide variety of activities, from anything that you want for a summer picnic. I would call it a very light sports field, but it's got a number of amenities that appeal to the public. As you see, we've got the picnic tables, barbecue grills, benches. It's got a gazebo for picnics, the tennis courts, a basketball court, a full court basketball court, and a ball field. The parking lot is a little light with the 18 stalls, but it's a good park in the location that it's at, and serves a lot of the needs for the things that we do. Next up is Foothill Park. This was built by a developer in 1972. and just popular just around the neighborhood. It's got the picnic tables, some play equipment, and a full court basketball court that I know I've used on many occasions. And Keto Park, developed in 1996. It's a family-friendly park and a great park just for the neighborhood that it's in. Lots of grass area. As you see the playground there. It's also got a grass volleyball court, the walkway, drinking fountains, and so it's just a nice park that we've got right there, kind of in the neighborhood. Special events. So as you know, on Halloween, on October 31st, we had our annual Halloween carnival in the park. It was attended by about 2,000 people this year would be our guess, and I think that number was down probably from years past, and I would say because of Game 6. But it was well attended. We had a trick-or-treat village again. We had our vendors. We had the nature center, taxidermy animals out there. A couple of people judged the costume contest that we had, and it's always been a very popular event, and staff is happy to bring it to the community. Coming up is Breakfast with Santa on Saturday, December 2nd. This will be in the Community Center Auditorium. We're still taking registration at this time. Tickets are $10 per person, and we ask that those people register now or as soon as possible. And then also want to remind everybody about the Camarillo Christmas Parade. This will be the 56th annual Camarillo Christmas Parade on Saturday, December 9th. The start time is at 10 a.m. on the corner of Las Posas and Temple. This year, our Grand Marshal is Anthony Davis, a five-time national champion from USC. And then we also have the Chainsaw Chicks. As you can see, they do some ice sculpting with chainsaws, and they're quite the show. We'll have the Tempo Cats, again, on stage doing our entertainment. And we'll have fairy tale princesses, entertaining the kids at Santa's Village. So staff's getting ready for that, and we'll get some more information in the next meeting. And that is it for this month. Any questions? Anything anybody want to add?
No, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Camarillo Pony Baseball.
Chairman Dixon, members of the board, tonight I would like to introduce Johnny Lovato, Alex Mathis, and Renee Randall is also in attendance to do their annual update presentation.
Yes, I am standing, so don't ask me. We also have Steve Smith back here, also director of players here. Thank you. Again, my name is Johnny Lovato. I am the new president of Camarillo Pony Baseball. Excited to be here. I've been director of equipment for the last couple of years, and I'm looking forward to. I volunteered, stepped into the position of president when I got vacated. I'm actually looking forward to continue what we've been doing for many, many years now, and I know it's we're just trying to make it better and better every time for our kids. We got, again, Alex Mathis is our new vice president also, and then Renee and Steve Smith have been with the board. Renee's been here the longest, for those that probably know him, and Steve Smith's been with us now. This is their third year, right? So, well, I grew up playing baseball here in Pony, so I've been here for a long time. And my boys, I have 3 boys that have been playing now baseball with Camarillo Pony Baseball. My oldest is done, but I still have an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old. So I've got a lot of time to still put in Camarillo Pony Baseball for my kids. Alex has got a young son. Steve's got a young son. And I think Renee's son just finished. But we're still looking at putting a Colt League together to get his kids still playing. The biggest thing I wanted to bring up was we have 15 positions currently on our board, of which 9 are all new members this year. So it's a huge transition for us. So bear with us. But we have some really good chemistry. I'm looking forward to a really good year. We were kind of joking around, prior to, let's make, Camarillo Pony Baseball better than it was last year. And I think we will do that. A big deal that's for Camarillo Pony Baseball right now is we hosted the 5U and 7U World Series for California. So that's a good big deal for Camarillo. We get teams from all over the state and come out and play, and basically decide who the best 5-year-old team is and the best 7-year-old team is. This year we will be hosting again, so we're excited about that. We are going to be taking some more tournaments on. We're also going to be hosting the 5U Super Region, the 7U Super Region, and then this year we're also going to be bringing to Camarillo the regions, 9 and above. So they were played in Bakersfield last year. There was a big push to have Camarillo host it. Weather's a lot warmer. I ended up playing my team in Bakersfield last year. It was very warm. So I think a lot of teams are going to be excited about coming to Camarillo. I think it'll be great for the community. We just had our first season of fall ball. So again, all new board. We're getting the kinks out. We just started a brand new website. So we went from a very old website to a new website called Blue Sombrero. Basically, we're trying to move on with the times, and a lot of the other cities have been using it for a while, and we decided that it's time to make a change and try to enjoy the better technology that's out there right now. With that said, we ended up having a little over 200 kids do our fall ball. Fall ball is really just a more relaxed baseball, developmental fun. And we were quite happy to see that we had a little over 200 kids sign up for fall ball. It's Sundays. They try to do just one practice a week and then games on Sunday. So we're excited about that. So we think that come spring, we're hoping to see just as much excitement about spring and see some big numbers for this coming season. Another big change this year was the concussion protocol. There's a concussion law that came into effect. And we definitely took the bull by the horns. We've already had all our board members take the training, and we are requiring all our coaches and managers to take the training also. And we are going to be able to install in this new website when the parents register their kids for the concussion protocol or for playing. They're also going to sign off on what the concussion protocol procedures are, and so they're aware of what's going on with this new law. Let's see here. Obviously, one of the biggest things that we did not have filled in our board with the last 2 years was our director of fundraising and sponsorship. So it's been, we've been working out, making things work. We've had a snack bar. Snack bar has been working for us. What we did do this year is, our snack bar, made us some money, and we ended up turning around and using 80% of that money and reinvested it back into the snack bar at the Kildy Fields. So we think that's important. If you go in there, that snack bar is all brand new inside, and I think we're looking at not only making an experience for our players to come out to all the games in the evenings and on weekends, but also for the parents to enjoy some good food. And we're looking at trying to do some new things with some new ideas on food for all our snack bars. And you're going to get people. We're hoping to get people that don't even have kids playing that want to come out, watch the kids play, and eat some food at the game. So. What we've also done is to support the local schools here. We have donated some free We've donated some free registrations for Pony Baseball this coming season. So these schools are using as an auction to try to fundraise for their schools. So again, it helps us both out. Get us more out there to all the schools, seeing that we got baseball, and at the same time, hopefully get some new players to come in. And some of them, we do scholarships for our players. We have a lot of players that want to play baseball that unfortunately can't afford it, and we're willing to work with those families, whether it's a payment plan where we cut it 50%, and if need be, we'll let them play for free, and we'll take care of it. And thank goodness for we're a volunteer group, and we want to help our kids. Let's see here, and that's about all I've got right now. I do apologize, I didn't have a PowerPoint put together, but I promise we're going to be taking lots of pictures this coming season. And I'll have a nice, cool PowerPoint set up for you for next year. Any questions? And thank you again for all your support, because if it's not for your support and the access to these fields that we have at Freedom Park and Kildy, we wouldn't be able to have the program that we do have today. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it.
No, Lane? No. Mike? Yeah.
Yeah, well, welcome to being the president position there. I'm hoping you're still here next year talking to us. I'm hoping. First, I wanted to mention that Blue Ceramo, whatever, that website you do for registration. Yeah, ASO has been doing that for a couple of years now, and it's been really helpful for them, they found out. So it's a good trend, I think. That's a good thing. On your expenses, I know you guys are paying for some of the maintenance of some of the fields and stuff. And I don't need the exact dollar amount, but you remember roughly how much, it's not really shown here as a breakout item. How much money are you spending roughly to help us do the maintenance on some of these fields? You remember off the top of your head?
Say about 50 to 60,000, sir.
50 to 60,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and thank you very much.
Hey, Mike? Yeah.
Welcome to the thick skin club.
I am learning that very quickly, by the way.
How many, you've been around the league for a while, how many concussions have you actually witnessed or heard about or taken care of in any way?
One so far in all the years. One so far.
Do you remember how it occurred?
Yeah, just again, hard base hit or hard line drive to the pitcher. Got
Hit
him
him.
right on the forehead. So, and then I also saw one in playing a tournament in Newbury Park. I saw one happen live in that game. I was the coach of that game, and as soon as we rushed him out, it wasn't a player on my team; it was on the other team that we were playing. They made a decision right away. That was smart to take him to the hospital, and I have since then talked to the parents because they were very grateful for how we handled the situation, and the boy's doing great and he's playing baseball again.
Good. How does it come to pass? I mean, I'm assuming some of it's kids aging out and so forth, but how does it come to pass that you lose 9 board members at one time?
Well, I think part of it is I think it's a lot of the board members' kids are done, so they did aged out. I think every one of them did. Now there is again we're trying to do a coal division now to try to bring some of those to be able to get to some of those kids to play a little bit longer. That aren't making the high school ball. But usually that's unfortunate. Now we do have a couple of board members that whose kids have currently. Renee is going to be one of them that's still sticking with us right now. I'm trying to convince him to stay a little bit longer than another year or two. But majority of them, the kids have gone. So
That's what I thought, but that puts a lot of pressure on you now.
it was a lot and a very quick moment. So we were learning as we go. And like I said, we got a good chemistry. Alex, Steve, Renee, we're working well together, and we have a good group of guys and gals, actually, to keep this going. My wife, believe it or not, my wife's here, Katrina. I'll tell you right now, she, being the new president of the board, she takes the brunt of that, and she's actually been a huge help, and is planning on and being my co-pilot too, as far as helping me get stuff done, because I just can't do it all by myself.
We'll need her to smooth over the stuff you do.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Lastly, you mentioned the PowerPoint. Now, I'm not speaking for anybody but me here. Yeah, I like to see a PowerPoint once in a while, but I don't like to see a rerun of the same thing every year. So you got that from me. Okay, and thanks for working out with the youth in this town. It's really important that people step up.
I appreciate that. I believe, unfortunately, like anything else, a lot of people are afraid of the commitment. I've been with the Air Force now for 25 years, and I work full time at the California Air National Guard base. And luckily, I've been doing it long enough where my bosses know that I have young kids, and they're giving me the flexibility to do something like this. So I want to take advantage right now when I can, before my kids grow up, and I'll figure out where the time had gone.
Well, you don't get to do it over again, so.
No.
Thanks
So,
a lot.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mark?
Yeah, I just had one quick question on the facility field budget here. You showed $153,000 in spending through August of 17 and down to $111,000 for the next year. And it's my understanding you're actually doing more maintenance than ever, so I'm kind of surprised the budget went down. That's probably a question for Renee more than for you, but you might know the answer. So.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to tighten the reins this season just to see what we can do to try to save a little bit more money. We did spend a lot more money this recent season on the fields. We laser lined all the fields. We actually The ellipse, I don't know if you're familiar with the ellipse. After a while, they tend to
Yeah.
cause. We took them all out at Kildy. We did every single field, all 7 of them, I believe. So we laser lined. We did a complete rehaul of the Kildy fields, and we're hoping to do a little bit more of that towards the end of this season. Maybe if we can raise a little bit more money to help out over at the Freedom Fields also.
Okay. And when you get that Colt League together, we just happen to have a field for that. So
We know what we absolutely, we need to take advantage of Veterans Field. It's there for to use, and I think it would be great to see a lot of these older kids that are no longer playing high school ball or college ball. They still have an opportunity to come out and play some baseball.
well, it's the nicest full size baseball field in town. So any kid will enjoy playing on it. So.
Absolutely.
And welcome to the team. There's 2 ex-presidents on the board here, so we know what happens to you when you graduate from what you do.
I'm already
so.
losing the hair,
Yeah,
but it's okay.
yeah, it's great. Nice meeting you, Johnny.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I was just looking at your number of participants. You're projecting 100 fewer next year than this year. Is that?
Well, what happened was there was an age change with pony baseball this year that takes effect January 2018. So what's happening is that you used to be the age cutoff was May 1st, and now they moved it to August 31st. So what that does is there's a lot of teams that have been playing together. The kids have been playing together for a long time, and now they're getting split up a little bit because of that age change. So there are some kids that we're all going to move up, let's say play second year Pinto at 8. But now some of those kids are going to stay at Pinto, but some of those kids are going to have to go straight to Mustang because of that age change. So we just think in general, I think there's going to be a little bit of repercussions that we think some kids are going to want to go to travel more so than staying in pony. But we actually have a good rapport with a lot of the travel teams, a lot of the managers, and we think that we're being cautious. I'm pretty sure that we'll be about. Like I said, it's our first year. I'd rather say, hey, we passed our numbers, and to go, oh, where do we go wrong? So we're trying to just be cautious with the numbers this year. So that's why we're going to be cautious with the funding also.
Okay. So you're hoping that 670 is going to be closer to the last year's
I'm
numbers.
hoping. I'm hoping that we'll be back at 750.
Yeah.
Well, I still think we could,
Uh-huh.
and it's going to take a lot of us going out there and reaching out to all the kids and the parents, and a lot of these. We have also know a lot of these travel teams whose kids really want to come and play rec ball still, and not play travel because some of these kids are not getting the opportunities on their travel teams that they would be getting playing rec ball with us.
Uh-huh. Now of course, I have 5 boys, and so I had 5 boys all go through Camarillo Pony Baseball, and really a fantastic program, and so I love Camarillo Pony Baseball, but it's different now. The field situation is different. We always played at Bob Kildee, which was then Pleasant Valley Fields, but what is the situation now with the use of the 2 facilities? Are you you're using Bob Kildee for some of your games, using Freedom Park for some of your games. Is it different age groups are playing on different sites, or how is that working?
Correct. Well, Freedom does not have quarter horse fields or Shetland fields or Pinto fields. So all those will be at Kildee no matter what. So the goal is down the road to maybe build a Pinto field and a Shetland field over at Freedom. But it really depends on the amount of teams that we have this year, but we'll utilize both fields because between the games and practices, I'm going to still be reaching out to Parks and Rec about renting some schools because I'm not going to have enough room even with those 2 fields. So we'll utilize them all.
Have you been able to shift back in the days, again, when my kids were playing, practices were basically on the grass at a school, which is kind of hard to do infield. And
we did Las Colinas last year, and we're planning on asking to see if we can do that again this year. But yes.
Are you able to use PV fields for practices now? With additional field availability, or
you're talking?
I'm sorry, Bob Kildee.
As soon as AYSO is over, we're going to be able to start using the Kildee field. That is correct. We're just having to wait till AYSO is over.
So you have actually more groomed sort of fields for teams to practice on than
that
just
is
playing.
the best part about the having both Freedom is all our teams minus, I'm going to say the 5-year-old. Actually, no, even the 5-year-olds will actually get our baseball field. But every single team actually is going to have a baseball field to be able to practice on.
So is,
Backstop and bases.
so the new fields are developed out at Freedom, and you start moving some of these younger age group kids. I guess we're looking at now at possibly developing some additional fields for, I believe it's 8-9-year-old groups.
Yeah, the 7-8s, then also the 5 and 6s.
So that will, as those games transition from Bob Kildee to Freedom, will you still maintain the fields at Bob Kildee to the same level that they are now?
As long as we're able to, absolutely, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's the plan. We actually have that many teams, and again, I pride ourselves with the Camarillo Pony baseball that we're a niche above Newbury Park or Simi, is that we have the facilities for these kids to have real practices and not having to go to a park and try to line out distances and having to put a fake backstop. And we have the fields and we utilize them 100% when it comes to practices and games. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It's a great program. Thank you for your service.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Wii Bowling Tournament recognition.
Good evening. I am Denise. I work at the Senior Center. Denise Cleric at the Senior Center. I am here because last month, October 12th, we had our Wii Bowling Tournament that we co-sponsored with SCAN. We had 15 teams from throughout Ventura County come over and play. So they came from as far as Simi Valley and Fillmore, and as close as Thousand Oaks and Moore Park, Ventura, and Oxnard. I'd like to say that Pleasant Valley won the tournament, but Simi Valley won again. We are learning to be gracious losers. Most of us anyway, not me so much. Anyway, so it was a great day. We had a lot of fun. We had a nice continental breakfast. We had a lovely lunch that was donated by El Pollo Loco. And at this time, I would like to bring forth our Wii bowlers that are actually here tonight. And I'd like to start with Lee Gunther. Yay, Lee. Our one gentleman of the team, Merle Power. Come on down, Merle. Flowers. At this time, I'd also like to acknowledge our other two Wii bowlers. That one is out who has some sort of an illness, and the other one is recovering from surgery today. So we are missing Connie Martell, and we are also missing Pat Wolgar. So, but they are great players, and we're hoping that they're up and about soon. Really?
Thank you. Thanks,
All right.
Thank you, guys.
And next year, they're going to bring home the trophy. No pressure.
You know, when you visit the senior center in Simi Valley, they have a trophy case, and it's right there. They put all those trophies out for everybody to look at. They kind of brag about it. So.
Yes, they do. We really want that trophy. Thank you.
Not as much as Lee does. Okay.
Yeah. All right, thank you again. All right, next, Camarillo Youth Basketball Association.
Chairman Dixon, members of the board, tonight I would like to introduce the new president, Tony Shepard, and with him is a familiar face, past president Mark Schimbine, for the Camarillo Youth Basketball Association to do their annual update.
Good evening. Last year when I spoke to you, I was kind of hoping it might be my last presentation, but was fully willing and planning on stepping up for this year if we weren't able to find anybody. But fortunately, in May, when we were having our new board, one of our commissioners from last year stepped up and volunteered to take over the position. I've been here. This would have been my 8th year as chair, so I wasn't going to turn down the opportunity when somebody steps up and volunteers. But I did tell Tony that I would stay a part of the board, or at least attend all the meetings and be their advisor and make sure that the transition would go as smoothly as possible. One of the things we were able to do over the time, over 15 years that I was with the CYBI, I started as program director and then into the chair, we were able to standardize a lot of our procedures and put things in writing in our commissioner's manual, our bylaws, and so season to season we have a pretty good handle on how the season runs and what our policies and are, so that when issues come up, we're not trying to decide things on the fly. We kind of have a good idea of how to run the program. So I have a lot of that institutional knowledge. My wife has even more of the institutional knowledge because she's been involved as long as I have, mostly with registration and answering all the emails that come in from the different CYBA players and families. And so both of us are working this season with the existing new board members, and some of them are back from last year, but we're both there as trying to impart as much of our knowledge as we can. And I know they're trying to get me to come back next year and do the same, and if they need me, I will. But our goal right now is to try to get the new board as comfortable with what they're doing, and that's allowing them to then, they've got some new ideas of their own, some really exciting things that they're doing, and Tony will tell you about that. But we didn't want the program to suffer because so much knowledge would be leaving just out of the cold, which it sounds like maybe is what happened a little bit in baseball. I wasn't aware of that till just a few minutes ago. But I just wanted to thank everybody here for the support we've had over the years that I've been involved in CYBA. Lanny's been terrific to work with. I know when I first started with CYBA 15 years ago and started attending the meetings to see if I wanted to get involved, there seemed to be, just listening at that time, seemed to be a little bit of not a very cohesive or good relationship between the organization and the Rec and Park District. But I can tell you that, over the last 10, 12, 15 years that I've been involved, it's been an absolutely great relationship. Everything we've needed, we've been able to work through and get. So anyway, thank you very much. I'm going to let Tony talk to you about what's coming up, and hopefully you'll be seeing him for a lot more years to come. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I don't know if I'll be around for 12 or 15 years. That's quite a record, but we'll see how the first 5 or 6 go. Thank you, Mark. As Mark said, my name is Tony Shepard, and I am the new chair for Camarillo Youth Basketball Association. Before I go any further, I would like to recognize and thank Mark and also his wife for their service. Over the last dozen or so years, they have contributed greatly to the city of Camarillo and to the youth of Camarillo. This is, as I've discovered, one of the best youth organizations I've ever been involved in. I came from Thousand Oaks, where I was a coach and a commissioner and stuff like that. But CYBA is just so well run. It's a machine, and it's a testimony to all of the hard work that Mark, his wife, and all of the other board members put into it. So again, thank you, Mark, and thank you for sticking around to help me through this transition. So myself, I was a commissioner last year. I have very little experience in youth basketball. Baseball is my sport, but my son likes basketball. So being a good parent, I want to be involved, right? But as I embarked on this journey, we also discovered that there were some other board members that wanted to move on to other challenges in their life. So out of our 6 board positions, 3 of them are brand new. There's myself. There is Hossein Serafin, who's replacing Mike Harrison as our treasurer, and also Mark Davis, who is replacing John McCarthy for rules and refs. So we also have quite a turnover this year, and that's going to pose a huge challenge as we commence on our new season. Again, all of the previous board members are around and helping, and all of them deserve our thanks, my thanks, as well as the fellow board members' thanks. So in addition to thanking all of the board members, I also want to thank Lanny, the Park and Rec District, Pleasant Valley School District, as well as the Boys and Girls Club of Camarillo, because obviously we use the facilities, we have partnerships with them, and I've been working to establish relationships and maintain those relationships, as well as our status with them. So with this significant turnover of board members, we're primarily focused on continuity of operations, keeping the machine and the train going that Mark has worked so hard to build. That's what we're mostly concerned with. Registration this year is very healthy, and we're also looking to take advantage of these last few weeks to reach some additional players and get some additional registrations out of that, so we can finish completing some teams. And just like with baseball, to ensure the program is accessible to all, we also have scholarship programs. This year, I believe we have 6, maybe 7 scholarships that we've already handed out. With these scholarships, it's a free ride. We cover the cost. There's very little scrutiny that goes into it. We don't look at it. I mean, obviously, there's some material that we require, but we don't question, we don't dig, we don't do any of that. Ultimately, we want the children to play basketball. So despite our intentions to keep the lights on and to keep the machine going, there are some areas of opportunity that we want to work on. One of those being social media. Just like Pony Baseball, we want to take advantage of social media to reach more kids, but also be able to communicate back with parents, players, coaches, commissioners, everybody like that, because it's very important to keep those lines of communication open. Okay. In addition, what we've also been doing is increasing our advertising efforts. This year, we had a booth at the Camarillo Fiesta. That was a lot of fun. We were there for both days, Saturday and Sunday. And this was kind of a trial period. We just set up the booth and had some basketball paraphernalia. We were auctioning off a couple of raffling off a couple of registrations, as well as a Magic Johnson signed autograph photo. And that generated a lot of interest for our booth. And we collected about 85 to 90 names. 45 of them are people that have never played basketball, never played CYBA before. And that was important to us because we really wanted to reach those people, because not everybody sees the banners or gets the email blasts. So we really wanted to extend our reach and also let everybody know about this great organization, because Fiesta gets a lot of traffic. So financially, CYBA, Mark really set us up in a great situation. Mark and his fellow board members, they set us up in a great situation because we're very strong and self-sufficient. We recognize that parents work hard for their money, and we endeavor to deliver the best value for their hard-earned dollars. So in that spirit, we've managed to keep our fees the same as last year's levels, and we really don't plan on changing that. We want to try to maintain those fees as much as possible to make this affordable and accessible. With those fees, our uniforms, basic photo package, trophies, it's all included in those. Also, we don't have to do any fundraising or sponsorships or anything else like that. So that places less of a burden on the parents so they can actually sit down and watch their kids play. In looking at our financial statement, you'll see that our revenue and expenses are pretty much the same year over year. And again, another nod to Mark and his team. There's really no significant delta between this year and last year. So with the 2018 season rapidly approaching, we're also working with Lanny to solidify our schedule and the practice times and the game times and all that. We're recruiting commissioners, referees, coaches, and other volunteers. And as you know, that's quite a chore sometimes. But despite the changes at the board level, we are excited and committed to continuing this excellent organization. So again, I'd like to thank the board for your time, PVRPD staff, thank you, Lanny, and again, our outgoing board members. I'd really like to thank them and honor them for their service. So if there are any questions.
Elaine?
Yes. Mark, thank you to you and your family. I know just not your wife has been involved. I do believe that there's a young lady that spends a lot of time refereeing, so thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And Tony, I'd like to make a suggestion to your board. Mark has been around a long time, and I think that a good way to hang on to the consistency and to get the consistency on your board, you're lucky to have Mark. I would look at maybe making a legacy type position on your board, not with voting privileges or anything, but that he'll be there and that he's part of it. It's acknowledged that he's part of your board, so that not just your board knows, but that all the families know that he's still a part of your organization.
It's an excellent suggestion. Thank you.
Also, the number of teams. How many teams are there?
I believe last year we had 58, about 58 last year.
Okay.
And we should have close to the same this year.
Okay. Will that include dogs?
Dogs.
Okay. Do you do the online registration?
Yes, ma'am. All online registration.
Okay, okay. And of the 45 people that you contacted or that you got new names, do you know how many of them actually registered to play? Or
Certainly not all 45. I want to say it's between 10 and 15, but we're still allowing some registrations to come through, so we'll have those numbers once the season starts.
I've had a lot to do with youth sports. If you get 10 or 15, that's awesome.
We're pleased.
That's awesome. So thank you very much and welcome. We won't try to pick on you too much.
It's okay.
Mike?
Thank you. Welcome to the office here.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoyed your time. Thank you very much.
I do indeed. Thank you.
Having taken over both failing businesses and successful businesses, I can tell you it's a lot more fun to take a successful one over, and one with good policies in place and people to turn to. When I was the president, I used to tell board members that there are two qualifications. Is first they had to sign up for at least 2 years, so that I only knew that I had to replace half of them each year, or get them to re-sign up. And the other is that you have to get your own replacement. You can't leave until you find somebody. And then you have to bring that somebody in the previous year to start learning their job.
Right.
Because your job essentially becomes doing the things that your other board members don't do, because everything that falls through the cracks lands on your shoulder. So you're not likely to have that problem because it's so well organized. But I hope we continue to provide you the support you need. And if you don't get it, don't hesitate to ask. You know who to talk to, and you can also find us around. We're happy to help you too.
Excellent. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
And Bob?
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
I just have one suggestion. When I was a kid, the funnest thing I did outside of organized sports was a program they had at Wainimi High School where the kids got to form their own teams for a Saturday morning, and the varsity players from the high school would come and be the referees, and we would have a Saturday morning where you might play 2 or 3 games. I'm not even sure this could even happen here. Floor space is at a minimum. Things are different now, but that might be a way of getting the kids out and getting them to know each other, and then maybe just by osmosis they move over and play in the leagues, because that's exactly what happened when I was a kid. We love those Saturday morning games with no coaches. We formed our own deal, we coached ourselves, and a lot of us ended up playing for the rest of our adolescent years together. So I don't know if that works for you. I'm just throwing it out there. But welcome aboard, and good luck.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you for the suggestion.
Yeah, welcome aboard. As far as the adequacy of the basketball courts and things that we have, and what I'm going to give you a chance to tell us what you think about that. Or do we have enough basketball space? Do we have enough space for you guys to play your games? Is that an issue? And are the courts what do you think of the types of the courts you're playing on?
In my very freshman opinion, I feel that, yes, everything is adequate. I feel we have sufficient practice facilities, sufficient practice times, and game day is a challenge. But we also, it's a machine. We get them in, have the games, get them out, repeat, and it's a process and it works well. So I personally feel that we have sufficient facilities and resources. That's not to say that might change based on some things that we want to do, or if we get a sudden influx of kids interested in playing ball. And that's also not to say that there aren't times when there might be a scheduling conflict or a last-minute situation at one of the schools where school teams are playing that we have to juggle things around. But we're able to communicate very easily with Lanny. He gives us the heads up, and we do what we have to do to make it work. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Do you have access to the high schools, to their gyms too, or Camarillo High School and?
No, we don't.
No. Okay. In the past, you used to be able to play there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We're in the midst of a needs assessment, and you guys may want to look at that and put your comments in as far as how you feel about basketball and how we're providing for you. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
So. All right. Public comment. This is, I'm not going to read this whole thing again. This is your opportunity to take 3 minutes to address the board. And if you have an agenda item that you would like to address, we ask that you wait until that agenda item comes up and then address the board at that time. If you have a non-agenda item and would like to speak to the board now, this is your opportunity. We ask you to fill out a card that will be brought forward, and we'll call your name to speak. At this point, I have only one card, and that's Bob Garcia.
Over a year ago, I submitted the name of Victor Corona to have a park named after him, and through some internal mistake, his name was never considered. When you named the new park, I came back to the board and asked that a baseball field be named after Victor Corona, who now has been missing in action for 65 years, a Camarillo resident that sacrificed his life. And I couldn't help but thinking, while they were talking about the pony baseball presentation, how Victor Corona was a high school baseball player, a semi-pro baseball player, and was actually offered a minor league contract with the Yankees. But he elected to join the Air Force to serve his country, and in the course of doing that, he never returned from a mission over North Korea. And that happened in July of 1952. I have come before this board over and over again. I think this is my 5th time asking for some consideration on this. All I'm asking for is a baseball field to be named after a guy that has been missing in action for 65 years. And I don't understand why there has been not one bit of action taken on this. I notice there's a nice big plaque built on a concrete pedestal out at the Freedom Park baseball fields with a lot of your names on it. I'm not even asking for something that big. Just something so that when these Pony League players go to play baseball, they understand the cost that gives them the opportunity to do that. And to me, this is a no-brainer. I was told that you guys had a big, busy calendar over the summer, so I didn't come here and discuss this issue. But summer's over, and I'd like to have something, a yes, a no, a maybe. I'm willing to raise funds. I'm willing to donate funds. If you might recall, Victor's nephew, one of the few living relatives that actually has a memory of him, came to the board meeting with me the first time I brought this up. He had a stroke. I don't know how long he's going to be around, but I think it would be decent if we could get this done while there's still some people that actually have a living memory of this guy. And I don't know, you start this meeting saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Obviously, there's some type of appreciation for our country here. How about some appreciation for a guy who sacrificed his life that was a Camarillo resident and is the only Camarillo resident that I can find that is missing in action? Yeah, we've had a lot of guys killed in action. He's the only one that nobody knows what happened to him. So I'm asking again for this board to consider putting up a plaque, some kind of thing that would memorialize this individual, so when these kids go and play baseball, they know it's not something that just happens, that there's a price to be paid for it. That's all I'm asking, and I would like somebody to contact me on that to tell me what I have to do to make that happen, because I think this is my 5th time before this board, and there's been no action. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Item 7, the consent agenda. Do we have any motions regarding the consent
I'd like to pull item number D, ordinance number 8, from the consent agenda for discussion.
Okay. So item D will be pulled from the consent agenda, and do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the removal of item D?
So moved.
Second.
Director Malloy.
Aye.
Director Mishler.
Aye.
Director Magner.
Aye.
Director Kelly. Chairman Dixon.
Aye. Okay. All right. So, item D.
Yeah, what's come to my attention over the last several weeks is that the proposed ordinance number 8 that we have in front of us tonight actually has some major loopholes in it that, in my opinion, what we need to do is send it back to the policy committee to work through those particular details and then have them be brought back again to the board. And it's not, we can't go through all the details at this time. And, it's going to take more than 5, 10, probably going to take hours to figure out all the details and work through all the stuff on that. But basically, some of the issues are we need to be a little bit more flexible when we're talking about tournaments and how those things are controlled and organized and which teams and who can do what. And there are some issues around that that's come up. There's another major issue about what is considered, we have an organization in town, and can they bring in other teams from outside their area and count them for our home fields? For example, ASO Soccer, Region 68 here in town, has several clubs that are, several teams that are playing in the club soccer tournament. And I know there are other cities and, of course, across the counties here that also have that. The way the rules are proposed to us tonight, Region 68 can take 40 other soccer teams from outside our city. They can be anywhere from up the coast or into Los Angeles or Riverside or something, and call them all and give them the name of, put them under and list them under ASO 68. And there is nothing we can do to prevent them from using our PV fields as their home field and have 40 more teams showing up out here next season playing club soccer on our fields and stuff. And they don't have to do anything different than what they're doing now based on our ordinance rules and stuff. And so we have a major loophole there that we have to address and figure out how to handle and stuff. So there's some issues around that. And also we need to do a little bit more work on the tournaments and the various organizations doing tournaments and stuff. So I'm proposing that we send this back to policy to work through all those details and stuff and come back with little bit situation that can cover all these loopholes.
Okay. Do we have to have a motion on that? Or can we, do we make a motion on that, or do we, first of all, is there any discussion? Does anybody else have any other comments on this? So do we make a motion on that, or do we just direct staff
I want to
to?
know why it wasn't brought up before.
This has all come to my attention during the last 2 weeks. So this is all new information that I never have known about. Some of it came from staff and some came from citizens in the community. So I think we need to, put all those things in there and make sure we're not going to cause a problem down the road.
Well, I'm not sure that necessarily any of us understand exactly what the issues are, but if there is a significant, no, it's all right, Mike. I mean, if there is a significant concern, this is not a pressing issue that we have to pass tonight.
Yes, it is.
No. I think the passing the changes is not something we have to do tonight. Yeah. We can defer this to another month. If there are things we need to go back and revisit, then I don't have a problem with that. It's. But do we have to?
Do we need a motion for that, I guess is the question?
No, you don't
need a motion. You can direct it. You don't need a motion. You can direct it to go back to policy.
Is there anybody object?
I got no problem with that.
Okay. All right. So directed.
Okay.
Item A, consideration and approval of bid award for Parks Maintenance Yard driveway.
Good evening, Board. Chairman Dixon. Tonight, I'll be standing up here for a little while, trying to get some more money from you. Tonight, we're going to start off with the driveway at the shop. It's recommended that the board approve and authorize the general manager to enter agreement with Toro Enterprises to replace the existing driveway that's there and pour it with concrete in the amount of $44,420. The funding was approved by the budget workshops back in May. The board appropriated $35,000 for this project. In 1977, the maintenance yard was built to house all the equipment. Since then, we've had deterioration of the asphalt. We've had gas and diesel tanks removed that were underground, and they had to do a bunch of work for the cleanup of the leakage. There's about 5,200 square feet of surface that we want to replace. All the red is what we want to tear out. The yellow will be a 6-inch strip. So for the trash truck to come in and not damage it. Right now we have some dips there. Again, just some pictures of what it looks like. Where that pad sits is where the tanks originally were. Again, just some damage. So again, there's about 5,200 square feet of surface. 1,200 of that would be the 6-inch thickness for the heavy trucks, trash trucks, and delivery trucks. Now we examined both the cost of asphalt versus concrete. The scope of work, they'll come in. We will do the demo. We'll remove all the asphalt that is marked off. Then the contractor will come in and they'll grade it, compact it to 90% compaction. They'll put the sub base down. They'll put a 1/2-inch rebar on 18 inches on the center. They'll use 3,000 PSI concrete, a little stronger, and put just a heavy broom finish, medium broom, I'm sorry. And then we'll put expansion joints to keep from cracking as quick. In September 2017, we sent out an RFP, and we had 6 companies come out and do the mandatory job walk. 1 withdrew, 3 of them submitted bids, and the low bidder was Toro Enterprises. So its recommendation for the award is based on bid specs and the base bid, and Toro meets all those requirements with the DIR and everything you need for the government. Again, initial project was estimated at 35. It came in at 44, and the high was 109. We were $9,500 over the initial estimate. And like I said, staff will be removing the current existing surface that's there now. Capital plan, so far we're at 468,000. We're actually at 458, so we're a variance of 9,400. Then this is just a spreadsheet we do to make sure their insurance and the DIR numbers and everything we need to know, like workers' comp and everything, make our job easier. Those are the three bidders. So it's recommended the board approve and authorize the general manager to enter an agreement with Toro Enterprises to replace the asphalt driveway with a concrete driveway at the maintenance yard in the amount of $44,420.
Okay. Any, Elaine, any comments, questions?
No, looks like you've got that 9,500 covered, so.
Yes, it's coming around here and there.
I do have a question, though. Is that mobilization for that company out of Northridge, is that why you think it's so expensive, or are they high-end people?
I don't know. I kind of questioned him when I opened the bids, and I asked him, "What are you guys thinking? Why are you so high?" And he didn't give me an answer.
Okay. I was just curious. So.
I can't answer. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I know Toro, they do a lot of business in the area,
Yeah,
so.
and Jeff Hughes was, I think he's like $1,500 to $2,000 higher.
Okay.
So we had him, he would come out and bid it also.
Okay.
Okay. Mike?
No, I'm happy with this. Thank you.
Bob? Mark?
I remember us squeaking about this amount when we did the budget, about $35,000 for a driveway.
That's what I thought, too.
I'm squeaking even more about 44,000, but
I can save it on the next job.
you know, I'm not into that. You know, $44,000 is $44,000, and you really need to tell me why we need what we have now is so unworkable that we need to spend $45,000 on a driveway. I mean, I understand it's ugly, so what? Throw some gravel down if you want to look at something that's smooth surface.
It's not only ugly, it's safety liabilities. We had a couple of years back, one guy twist an ankle in it. I'm not sure, it was about 2 years maybe. And we've had OSHA out there. OSHA was out there with Daryl back then and questioned us on some stuff. We could lower the amount of asphalt taken out or not put in. We can leave a couple areas. We're just trying to maximize what we could out of it. I'll go back to the one picture. On the red on the far left, that right now is all gravel. I can leave that gravel. That might knock it down a little bit.
What's between the red and the street there? Is that dirt?
That's all gravel. It's asphalt. It's concrete, and then it goes gravel, and that's where we park trucks on that right now.
Okay.
And we left it
After hours when they're not running around.
Yes,
That's
yes.
where they park. Okay.
The far left one is gravel also, and we thought we'd replace that and use that for storage. Or use it for storage anyways for vehicles.
Okay.
And then down to the yellow, to the right of the yellow, we could come back at the bottom edge of that yellow and remove all that. That just goes to the warehouse, to the irrigation room, and to the paint supply room. So we could cut it there.
So there's no vehicle traffic on that area?
No, not to the right. There we parked 2 vehicles there, existing asphalt.
And the existing asphalt is in an unsafe condition?
Right there, no. That would be okay to leave. Anything from the yellow straight down would need to be done, and then probably over in almost in the middle of the. This thing doesn't mark, does it? Oh, there you go. About here, we could cut that off there, because this is all asphalt, but we could cut it off about here and leave this asphalt. This whole area is bad.
As is the driveway.
Yes.
Yeah. And the driveway is really the big expense because
This
of the
6 inch.
sticker and the 6 inch and the rebar and all that. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'll see what everybody else thinks. I hate to get in the middle of your projects because you guys really know more about what's needed than I do, but it just doesn't feel right that we'd be spending that much money on the aesthetics of the driveways at our workshop. But I wouldn't be surprised for 4 other people to feel differently. So,
Bob, did you have? I see you sitting forward there.
I haven't been out there for about a year, and it didn't look good when I was there the last time. But now that Director Malloy has brought up the issue, I thought pretty much everybody was in favor of doing this repair. Yes, there's like a discrepancy in the amount of money apparently, but frankly, I'd like to go out there and look at it again.
Yep. Bob, with the some of the areas that you're saying we didn't do certain areas, some of those areas are asphalt and some of those areas are gravel right now that you're saying we could avoid doing right now?
Yes.
And what do you project the remaining life of the asphalt areas is? I mean, what we don't want to be doing is putting in concrete and then 3-4 years from now saying, okay, that asphalt's going now and now we need to do that job.
I've been here 20 years. It's never had a coat of sealer on it. We can seal it. Can we get another 10 years out of it? I'm going to say yes.
And the lifespan of the concrete is beyond the lifespan of every board member up here and mine.
Yes.
30 years. I mean, I'm guessing 30, 40 years.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you have any, even the slightest idea what, if you made changes, what kind of numbers could we change this by? I mean, I'm sure a certain part of this is the materials, but a certain part of it is just mobilizing their crew and getting out there, and so some parts of it they would reduce by cutting the job, but maybe some parts not.
One of the costs that actually went up this year, with the DIR, even the truck drivers now get prevailing wage. So when it comes from the factory of the concrete coming from where they made it, we got to pay a prevailing wage on that. So that raised that cost up. But I would imagine if we 800 square feet, 1,000 square feet, I'm sure I can come in below that number.
I hate to ask this question, but what do you think the response of the guys who made the bids on this is going to be on this?
I don't think they have an issue.
We'd have to, because we've done a formal bidding process, it'll have to go back out. So if we're not going to accept this bid, then the next meeting, we would have to reject all bids and then come back with a new scope. One of the things, just a couple things, is Bob was talking about with the DIR. The other thing that plays into this is where the concrete is being shipped from. So one of the things that could have drove up the cost for the 109, it's where the concrete is shipped from. So it's their prevailing wage or their cost from where they're shipping. So that plays in effect, depending on where it's being shipped. So if they're getting it local and there's a price here, we pay that price, or the vendor does. If it's being shipped from Simi Valley, there could be a different price, so we're paying that price. So I don't know that we'd be able to say what that cost would be, even if you look at the $800, because a lot of it's going to depend on where they get their concrete. I can tell you one thing: we will have to, whatever direction we go, we're going to have to address it, because we do have safety issues out there and liabilities. So that is something we'll have to address depending on which way we go.
And any other comments?
I do. I thought I knew all the ins and outs of prevailing wage, but apparently I don't. Are you saying that we have to pay prevailing wage to a company that manufactures something on their own premises because they bring it and install it on our premises.
Yes, sir.
Has that always been the law?
No, sir. Something new within the last year, it's taken off. The DIR, Department of Industrial Relations, has come down on contractors, making sure they have all their licenses and insurances. Anybody that does a public job will have to have this.
So if a contract, I'm just trying to make sure I understand this. I don't have any intention of proposing this. So if we were to have a contractor that we paid to do the installation, and the cement came from another plant and was delivered, we would still have to pay prevailing wage based on the concrete being mixed by another contractor?
Yes. And for the labor to make it, and for the guys to pour it.
And the shipment.
So why isn't that true on just about everything?
It's getting very close. I went to a seminar with Elaine in September, and I went to this class just to hear what they had to say, and went to another seminar yesterday with Mary, and one of my things was I need to find another seminar or class on the DIR regulations. You can be a surveyor and you're okay, but if you're an engineer, you have to have prevailing wage.
So if our contractor at our baseball fields or soccer fields or whatever does a fertilization and it's $10,000, we have to pay prevailing wage to the people that made the fertilizer?
No.
Why is that different?
Couldn't tell you.
Okay. I think I get it. Welcome to California.
Yeah. Cement concrete in the last year, they've put some other restrictions that they haven't done with, say, fertilizer and such. So one of the things that prevailing wage has taken off, and they've really cracked, as Bob had mentioned, they've really cracked down on that. But one of the things they've actually done in the last year is with concrete and services and where it's being trucked. And you have to pay from the point of where it's trucked in, and you have to pay prevailing wage according to where that's coming in from. So it does get really, that's why I said it does get really tricky, and which is probably why you'll see some range. I don't know that you should see 109,000, but you will see some ranges when it starts to come to some of those things.
Well, Neil, I'm going to propose that we move forward with this. I propose we accept this. My fear is that if we go back to staff and start the process over again, we'll save a little tiny bit of money, but our staff and use of man hours and stuff would then go up. And I'm just not sure the amounts may come out so small that we're not really saving anything that much. I mean, but when you factor in our own labor costs and everything else, so I would propose that we move forward with accepting the bid.
I would just like to ask Director Malloy a question. Were your comments?
Well, we got a motion on the floor. We have to have a second.
I was going to say, is that a motion?
Yes, that's a motion.
I didn't know. I thought it was.
No, it's a motion.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Okay, the motion's dead then.
I guess the motion does not pass. Okay. So do we have to formally reject the?
Not tonight. We'll have to come back and formally reject the bids, and then depending on direction from board, what you want staff to do.
Well, I would like to ask that question now. I want to know why Director Malloy, what was his basis for his comments? I mean, do you think that that's too much money for the...
Right, I remember squealing about budgeting 35,000, and when it comes to 44, now I'm squealing louder, and I just really need to hear why we need to have this done to this level for that amount of money. I mean, I just, it's, I don't work there every day, so, I literally don't know. But to talk about go forward, which parts do we need to do to address the safety issues? Do we need to, is the main safety issue on the main driveway where the trash truck comes in? Is that
Yes, from basically the corner of a building give or take 5 feet to over here, straight across. Not as deep, but we can come straight across over to here, and then just this area. That area should be replaced.
Well, you have to still make the driveway to the street.
Yes, that'll be there.
right.
That'll be 6 inches.
So I'm just ballparking, that's roughly 1/3 the smaller project? If you eliminate that lot over on the edge there and that other piece?
That's about, I'd say. Yes.
Okay,
I s-
well, 1/3 less project won't quite get us to 1/3 less bid, but does everybody else feel comfortable with a smaller project like that, or we just want to rebid it to try and get down to the budget number?
Yeah, I do. Other than that, I would want to be sure that we take a careful look at what parts we're not doing that we might have to come back in a couple of years, or 5 years, or 6 years, or even 10 years. I think it's if there's asphalt areas that we're going to have to reconcrete at some point down the line for safety reasons. I think we probably would be best to just get that done in one job now. But any areas that we can just leave, and that we're going to leave to just be they'll be just as reasonably functional as gravel, then we probably leave that as gravel. So where do we go with here then?
Bob,
in terms of-
do you think that the price of concrete's going to completely go out of sight come spring? I mean, I've been hearing things that with the DIR and everything that's really going to skyrocket again. Because I know it did a
hard
few
to say,
years ago when. Huh?
Yeah, it all jumps up. I mean, asphalt was way up there for a while.
Right.
And concrete was down, but now it's reversing, of course. I've heard what you're saying. I can't predict it.
Yeah. I just hate for us to put it off like Director Dixon's saying, and then we get 8-10 months down the road and we decide we need to do something else, and we're looking at mobilization again and additional costs. So just something to think about.
My concern is strictly if this is a $35,000 job or a $30,000 job, I don't want to pay $45,000 or $44,000 for it. Simple as that. Other than that, I know what needs to be done. I've been there. I'm going to go out there again tomorrow and check it out again. But I already knew that it needed work. But if we're unsure about what the job is really worth, then that's what we're supposed to do, is to use our due diligence to look into it.
So is there a consensus here that we are not going to accept any of these bids tonight, and we want to redirect staff to what I'll try and rephrase it, see if everybody agrees on this, that you'll re-examine the area. I guess you would have to come back with us with a new proposal as to exactly what needs to be done and what does not need to be done.
Yes, next month I'll come to you and ask you to reject the bids.
Okay.
And then the following month, I believe, I'll have to rewrite it to match the square footage we can get by with to make it safe, and probably get into that bid range.
Everybody in agreement?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So directed. Motion is. Consideration and approval of bid award for the Mission Oaks Park concession building roof.
Good evening again. Now I'm coming to you for the Mission Oaks roof. So it's recommended the board approve and authorize the general manager to enter an agreement with Falcon Roofing to replace the roof at the Mission Oaks concession building in the amount of $17,866. Again, the funding was approved in May by the budget workshops. We appropriated $30,000 for this job. The building was built in 1995, and we had an addition put on in 2009. The current roof has 22 years on it. The roof material is made out of the concrete tiles, which usually last longer. But But this sits 20 feet away from the softball field one, and foul balls continue to deteriorate that tile. And here's some pictures of it. It just breaks them, and then again, it's a safety liability for anybody that's, if one of those tiles slide off. Front view, you can see it on the right. So what they'll do is they'll remove the existing roof tile. They'll install 15 to 30 pound underlayment, and install a 30-year asphalt shingle. It's been approved by the city. They'll apply a rubber emulsion and polyester membrane to the alcove roofs. It's the gutters basically that come down the middle of the roofs. Do elastomeric coating to the inside and outside of the alcove areas, or the inside of that wall. And it's a 30-year warranty on this roof. In September, we sent that RFP out. Again, we had the mandatory walk. We had 6 companies come out, 4 submitted bids. The low bidder was Falcon Roofing in an amount of $17,866. Recommendation for the award is based on the bid base and specifications. Falcon Roofing meets all the required specifications. I need some water. Occasions. Again, initial project estimate was $30,000. The current bid range from $17,866 to $52,362. So, committed $12,134 under initial estimate. And here's those numbers. This is all up to date, basically the numbers that we have from all the projects we have going right now. So with 468 is the projected cost. Actual costs are 458, and the variance is 9,400.
Well, that's out of date now.
Yeah, they'll change a little bit.
All right, Elaine, questions about the roof?
This is the guy that's doing our community center roof, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have no issue.
Mike?
No problems.
Bob? Mark?
It's been a safety issue for some time. Get on it immediately.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the general manager to enter into a contract with Falcon Roofing to replace the roof at Mission Oaks Concession Building in the amount of $17,886.
Second.
Director Magner?
Aye.
Director Malloy?
Aye.
Director Mishler?
Aye.
Director Kelly?
Aye.
Chairman Dixon?
Aye. 8C, consideration and approval of auditorium patio remodel.
Good evening again. It's recommended the board approve and authorize general manager to direct staff to move forward with this project with a budget amount not to exceed $12,000. Funding was identified in budget workshops in May for fiscal year 2017-18. The board appropriated $12,000 for this project. A little history of the building was built in 1969 with an attached patio. Had endured 45 years with only minor repairs. In the last 5 years, staff restricted the use of it, being there's tripping hazards, and the roots really lifting up the concrete back there. Staff has ground down the concrete over the years. It's now at a minimum where it's not strong enough for loads. And here are the cracks. These are up about inch and a half, some of these. And it wanders through the whole thing. It's kind of hard to really stop where you can cut it off and do it to make it look right. Since the district's in the midst of the needs assessment, the board asked to examine some basic options for the patio in order to make some space usable and on a limited budget. So the following items will be addressed. They'll remove approximately 2,000 square feet of lifting concrete, install a paver system walkway, approximately 550 square feet or so. We'll install decomposed granite, about 1,500 square feet of that. We'll update and install plants around all the edges. Here's a little drawing of kind of what we'd like to do. We've added a couple things since then. We walked with Dr. Dixon last week. Again, the middle of that would be pavers. The trees are existing already, so we wouldn't mess with those. The fringes are there. I think we'd remove one maybe, the top left. And then if anybody, because Journey to the Church is there, if they want to perform a wedding in that area, it's a wide enough area they can use it. So we think we can come in at around $12,000 to do all this. They'll be removed by, if this patio was removed later on with the addition of the senior center, we could remove the pavers and reuse them for future projects throughout the district. It'll be the same color we used out at around the playground. We'll use that same type and around the walkway out front. So if the patio isn't touched, we could, pavers could remain and expand further on. And here's some estimated prices. Dump fees, $2,000, DG 3, pavers 5, miscellaneous plants and vendor board. So it comes out $12,000. So it's recommended the board approve and authorize the general manager to direct staff to move forward with this project with a budget amount not to exceed $12,000.
Elaine?
Bob, what are we going to do with those tree roots?
Some we'll remove, but nothing. We'll just fill them around it. We'll work around them. We'll make the walkway area come out from them. Some will get rid of the bigger ones that we have to, but elsewise we won't touch them.
Okay.
So
And they'll still make it safe, though?
yes.
Okay.
Anything we do back there, and this will be all done in-house.
Right, yeah, I figured that. That was going to be my next question, so, okay. Thank you.
Sorry, I thought I had it on that
Yeah.
slide. So.
Mike?
No, I'm comfortable with this type of approach. I mean, because we don't know what's going to happen down the road with this area, and we don't want to spend too much money, but I'm okay with this. Thank you.
Yeah. Bob?
Yes, this issue's been thoroughly discussed previously. And so I don't have any problems with giving the general manager this authority.
Mark?
Yeah, we're all laughing because at the budget meetings, you proposed a significantly more expensive fix here, and we all screamed bloody murder and did a walkthrough and talked about what you could do. And you come up with a really good plan where most of the costs are recapturable costs. Should we reconfigure that to something else? And I think it looks really attractive and will be very functional too. So I think it's great.
Well, the drawing was done by Matt. I can't take credit. He's a computer whiz.
Well, it's not just the drawing. It's the conceptual. What you've conceived here. It's night and day nicer than what we have, and hopefully, when we build that new senior center right next to this, we'll be able to continue to use this because this is a really nice outdoor place, and those have a lot of value both for the use of the church that rents our auditorium and for the community. So I'm all for it. Great work.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we.
Actually, I'm sorry. I wanted to ask one question
okay.
real quick.
I thought you'd already talked.
Yeah, I mean, I have talked to them before, but I just one other thing occurred to me is the DG. I know DG gets pretty hard. I mean, concrete-like almost at sometimes. But do you foresee that being any issue of tracking gravelly material into the?
That was addressed. We brought that up. We plan on putting some rugs outside. Mats. We'll put a polymer inside and a DG to harden it up, so it'll stay tight and not be as loose. So it's a concern for that floor in the auditorium, but again, if we put enough polymer in it and we can make that thing hard like concrete, it should be okay.
If we needed to, if we decided there was an issue and we needed to put additional pavers in to sort of push that DG back further, it doesn't look like that would be too much of a problem if we needed to do that.
No, not a bit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do we have a motion?
I move the board approve and authorize the general manager to direct staff to move forward with this project with a budget not to exceed $12,000.
I'll second.
Director Malloy.
Aye.
Director Magner.
Aye.
Director Mishler,
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Chairman Dixon.
Aye. Okay. All right. Case the senior and community recreation facility needs study update.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
Oh,
Well, my computer says that our television ratings are sagging, so that's perfect time to put Mary at the podium. So,
I'm not sure that will help. All right, wanted to give you an update. I know that most of the board members were there for the October 5th meeting, but kind of bringing that back and just going through kind of the senior and community recreation facility needs study and where we're at thus far. So during the month of October, there was a lot of time spent doing information gathering. So just to kind of go over this a little bit, there was 5 focus groups. We had 12 to 15 people in each one of the focus groups, and those focus groups ranged anywhere from the superintendent of schools to having from PVSD to having somebody from Oxnard to having the hospital sit in on them. So it was a very wide scope of groups that sat in that. We had 5 focus groups there, and then we also had on Friday before the organization, before Green Play left, we also had a group of seniors that was just senior focused, which was good information. We had 11 stakeholder meetings. They've done site tours. They've met with park staff as well as city staff, and then have also met with liaison committee. So what they did initially is just looked at the residents and people that actually were there as part of it. So what they looked at is anybody that's been there for less than 5 years, between 5 and 10, between 10 and 19, over 20 years. And those are people that are residents that actually took part in focus groups. As part of this, and looking at all the information, what our strengths were from as far as the districts. So maintenance of sports fields, maintenance of parks and playgrounds, quantity of number of parks and green space that people have available to them within the community, excellent dog parks and tennis facilities. So those are some of the strengths that we kept hearing over and over. So what they tried to do is capture some of the majority of the strengths, and we'll go through even more. So a variety of, and quality of programs. One of the things that we heard repetitively was just the number of programs, from community events to types of recreation programs. Dedicated staff who operate programs. Phenomenal special event, and I think everybody could see that on Tuesday if you attended the Halloween event, and holiday events, and safe and friendly atmosphere. Some of the areas that they look at for improvements, and one of the things I think we can all attest to, is park rich and facility poor. What does that mean is that we have 28 parks, but the number of facilities that we actually have, such as a senior center or basketball courts or indoor facilities, is somewhat limited. We have no dedicated senior facilities to support active and fitness programs, lack of multi-use collaborative spaces, overcrowding during senior classes and programs, and lack of exercise equipment for specific fitness classes. Other areas of improvement and accessibility: improved parking and lighting, update ADA accessibility, dedicated transportation services for seniors, gymnasium isn't sufficient. So they did look at the Freedom Center. The one challenge obviously we have with Freedom is that the district doesn't own that, and it's owned by the Oxnard School District. Other areas of improvement is transportation to essential services, central indoor area for socializing, conversation, counseling, and mentoring services. Now, I realize these are just information that we were gathering from the various community groups. Collaboration and in planning, some areas they thought that we could improve, and that would be between city, neighboring park district, school district, and user groups. Better branding, identity, and understanding of park district. There was a lot of people, if you attended the October 5th, that still don't understand that there's a difference between the city and the Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District. And so once again, that kind of filtered through as well. Transparency and discussion on around funding sources and long-term goals and priorities. So then the next part was asking what kind of activities you want to participate in. And the reason this becomes important as we continue down this route is hopefully this will then shape what type of facility, if we have a facility, if we need to do any type of facilities, what this then dictates. So active recreation, so we kind of split it up, active recreation, so sports being pickleball, lawn bowling, basketball, ping pong, badminton, volleyball, ice skating came up, indoor soccer and futsal, and then fitness activities, more healthy lifestyles such as aerobics, balance, yoga, meditation, and those type of classes. Other desired lifelong learning opportunities, technology, computer classes, which ranged anywhere from learning about how to use an iPad, iPhone, to computer skills, and then educational series and lectures. Focus on cultural activities, dances, classes, music, community theater, ceramics, sewing, arts, space for artists to share work. As you probably know right now, is we have a fairly large art group that does art, and yet there's really no place to display, and those rooms are turned over quite consistently. Another one came up was cooking classes. Focused on health and wellness, health education, low cost and frequent meal services, transportation to and from medical, hiking, and biking opportunities. Now we get into what actual amenities. So when you're looking at a facility, what they would want, or people that talked about this wanted warm, inviting, welcome lounge to socialize, dedicated areas for services for seniors, multi-spaces for fitness and educational classes, restrooms, locker rooms that were ADA, as well as family-oriented and family-friendly, outdoor spaces such as gardens and patio areas, ice skating rink, and skating and hockey facility. Other desired amenities were large multi-use spaces, which could be used for breakout rooms, cafe for socializing and eating, large community kitchen, movie, theater, dance, art, and craft area, technology space, exercise, fitness areas with mirrors and equipment. Other additional amenities, gymnasium, which supported active lifestyle, such as basketball, pickleball, ping pong, youth volleyball, fitness classes, and then opportunities for rentals and special event spaces. Outdoor were walking and biking paths, lawn bowling, bocce, pickleball, leisure pool, things that could be affiliated with that type of facility. The other thing that was asked was, are there populations within Camarillo that they felt were underserved? And some of the areas that responses were active seniors, elderly homebound, veterans, special needs, and people with disabilities, low-income households, stay-at-home moms, outdoor recreation opportunities, after-school programs for teens, basketball, volleyball, sports programs, lack of child care, and pre-K. So current partners on this project right now are the Pleasant Valley Recreation Park District and City of Camarillo. So the other question then was asked, are there other potential partners? So other potential partners that we got input were Camarillo Healthcare District, St. John's Dignity Health, Pleasant Valley School District, Oxnard Union High School, corporate and local entities, civic organizations, user groups, which we have quite a few of, youth organizations such as YMCA Boys and Girls Clubs, the Chamber, small business owners, Cal State Channel Islands, other foundations, developers, landowners. The next part of this then was, are there other organizations outside the city of Camarillo that our groups are using? And so what we found is that we do have people that go to Simi Valley, Thousand Oaks, that use Conejo Recreation and Park District, specifically Gobel Adult Center, Leisure Village, Cam Springs, Spanish Hills for golf, Moore Park for some of their senior programs, and then Ventura Senior Center. Other things that were provided outside of this area that people participated in, sometimes it was pickleball, some were lawn bowling, dance or dance classes, children's museums, activities, soccer clubs, golf, hiking and biking, open space, and trails. So the importance with this first portion was to kind of get so we could actually build a survey. So the idea behind this was to get as much data and information that we could get, so we could start then asking questions, which is kind of the next part of the next steps. So right now, we're in the process, or our RC is in the process of mailing out 3,000 randomly selected surveys. So those should be going out, and people should be seeing those in the mail. So we're actually in the process of putting a press release. There's information on our website. The city will also be putting that out. So if anybody gets one of those in the mail, and like I said, they're random surveys, so we don't know who they're going to be mailed to, but the key is that they fill those out and we get them back. The second step then will be an open link survey. So in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, that will go out. The open link survey then will go online. We will also have copies at the senior center, the aquatic centers, at our office, as well as try and work with the city to get it on their website. So anybody can take that survey. It will be the exact same survey. One is the statistically valid survey. The other one, anybody can take. So what they will do is be able to look at both those surveys to see if we have commonalities, and other things that, if we have other things that may be, we see let's say we see nothing on the statistically random survey, and then we have 1,000 people that decide, hey, we need a hockey rink. So what they'll do is they'll look at those to see if there's any abnormalities. In December and then in January, they'll start with the draft version of the report and start working on the presentation, work with staff. February, we'll have a draft and a report and presentation. So that'll come to the liaison committee as they continue to refine that information. And then the goal is, in March, is to actually have the final report presentation that would go to the district board and city council and be able to pull all of that information together. So like I said, the first step here is the first step in just getting the information and putting the survey together. So that is kind of where we are at today. Any questions or any information that I can answer?
No? Mike?
I just have a comment. It looks like a lot of the potential partners are those who are in need, not just like us, and not people who can provide much.
So I think, let me see if I can address that. So I think one of the things that the key with part of this in information fact-finding is what we want to make sure is that we're not duplicating services. So what we don't want to do is provide, so I'll give you an example. We were talking about, let's say, meals, or the healthcare district provides some of the same classes. So if they're providing that service, because I think there's a lot of people that may not understand the services that they provide, so it's actually making sure that we're not duplicating services. So if it's something they provide, what we don't want to do is then turn around and try and provide that same service. So what we were trying to do is get input to see if there's gaps in some of those systems, or if somebody else does it really well, it doesn't make sense for us to take that on. So that was part of the reason of looking at those different organizations, inviting them, sitting at the table, so we could also figure out what they do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mark?
No questions.
No? Me either. So thank you very much. Okay. Item 9, informational items. Chairman's report. I really have nothing new to report. So we'll move on to Ventura County Special Districts Association and CSDA.
Okay. We didn't have a meeting in, I guess we had a meeting in October, but it was before our last meeting. So, and I think our next meeting is December 5th. And Mike will be working on a speaker, and it will be...
Yeah, we have a person coming in talking about computer securities.
Okay.
And it's going to be at the Camarillo Healthcare District.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, it's December 5th?
I think
I have
it's
to look
December
at the
5th.
calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, December 5th.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Santa Monica Mountain
Oh,
School.
can
sorry. I'm sorry.
I got more.
Okay.
I've been pretty much on the road with California Special Districts Association. We drove to San Luis Obispo earlier in the month. We went to the chapter meeting for the special districts up there. which is very similar to our chapter meeting. They had about 40 to 50 people there, heard the presentation from the Finance Corps group again. So, however, they did, the sheriff up there spoke, and what they are preparing for the marijuana. If you're familiar with San Luis Obispo County, they're really concerned about what's going to happen up there, and the cities up there are really dragging their feet. So I thought that was really interesting. We have tomorrow is the first meeting, or it's kind of the come down, get ready to go for the legislative committee. We'll be reviewing all of the bills that are hanging, because in the state of California they have what they call 2-year bills, that if they don't make it all the way through the committees, that it just goes to the next year. So we'll be looking at those tomorrow, and we'll also be looking at what successes we had and what bills, what issues that we would like to perhaps support, and getting bills going to certain legislators and having them present a bill on our behalf like we did this year. So we've got a lot of things coming up. So tomorrow will be a very busy day. I'm not traveling because we had the board meeting tonight, so I'll be on the phone with them. So that's it.
Okay. Mike, Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy.
Yes, I attended the October 23rd meeting at the River Center near downtown Los Angeles. Several little minor issues. One of the things I thought would be interesting for the board was that Caltrans has been making good headway. There's a proposed, if you remember, a proposed wildlife bridge going across the 101 and Agoura Hills, and crossing Agoura Road right to the south of it. And their current proposal that it has some support right now working through Caltrans is the bridge will be 165 feet wide for the animals. And there'd be 2 bridges, actually. There'd be one over the freeway, and then just immediately south of that, where Agoura Road is, there'll be a secondary bridge so that, the animals will have direct access. And from there, the animals will have access all the way down to the coast, and then all the way back up from Santa Monica Mountains, anywhere in there, and then back up into the ranges to the north of us and everything. So, but that is moving through Caltrans, and there's actually support even outside of our local area, because there are other local communities across California that also want to copy this concept for their community. So it's getting pretty wide support, and it's going to be moving forward. It's just a question of the details and stuff and timing. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Personnel Committee.
We met and we discussed, once again, we're preparing for the new increase in minimum wage January 1st and the new salary schedules. We reviewed them, so I think they will be at the December board meeting for the board's approval. And we'll meet again then in December, I think probably to start on the next round.
Okay. Finance.
Finance, we're 1/4 of the way through the fiscal year, and we're tracking right on, and having the second year with the new software is proving a lot easier to follow and keep an eye on it, and we're asking Leo a lot less questions, so it's working better for her and for us. So we're looking good.
And Liaison Committee met. Primarily what we're dealing with is essentially what Mary talked about, the needs assessment survey. We worked on the details of the survey questionnaire itself, and future meetings in the next several months are probably going to be dealing with that issue, essentially. Foundation.
Thanks to Miss Megan, why we have been very busy. So we did Painting with a Twist, and we had quite a few people show up for that fundraiser. And we also did a raffle at Halloween in the park on the 31st. And I think we've already set a date for our next annual fundraiser. So be ready. It will be hitting the streets, I'm sure, soon with. We're coming back, people, so August 25th. So, well, we're ready. She's planning. She's a very good planner. So, we're busy. Thanks to her.
And actually, I'll just comment on that. I missed the painting event, but my wife went, and I heard it was really a lot of fun. And I was supposed to go. I think Megan's husband was the only male that attended. So, but I hope you plan another one again. And it sounded like it was really fun. Let's see. Okay, general manager's report.
Just follow up with a couple items. So with painting with a twist, we made about 800, just shy of $800 on that event, which was a nice event to get the name out. And then the other night it was about 300. So between the two events, it's a little over $1,000. So some of it may not be big money, but it's kind of nice just once again to get the foundation name out and such. And wanted to thank one of our staff, Caitlin, who helped actually get the secure Cavalli and get the tickets so the foundation could do that. So that was helpful. Other things going on, you'll see all the signs starting to go up in the parks. Those should be up by end of next week, so you can start looking at some of the new signs that'll be up. So that's going up. Still working with the school district on the never-ending issue over at over at Mission Oaks. So water fountain up, water fountain down. They're replacing pumps, so hopefully that will be addressed again soon. Getting ready to go into kind of the winter season. So a couple things that'll be coming up. We've got the roof that'll be starting soon at the community center. So that should be happening fairly soon. Couple other projects with capital. If you haven't been out to the Camarillo Grove Dog Park, that installation is done. So we'll be tweaking that as we continue to go, but that looks good. The office redesign is complete, 99% completed. There's small minor stuff there, so we're making good headway on the capital projects list. So those are moving along as we continue to go. And then obviously we have, as Lanny had mentioned in his presentation, we have Breakfast with Santa that's coming up, and the Christmas parade are right around the corner. So it'll be a busy November, December.
Thank you. And see, item 10 is left off our agenda, but it's basically opportunities for board members if they have any additional items that they'd like to discuss.
The only thing I'd like to say is I'd like to thank the staff for putting on the special events. The most recent one was the Halloween in the park, and it's awesome that the participation we have from the community, even though it was Game 6 and things, and the staff just do such a great job with those functions. And Director Malloy and I and one of the foundation members and Mark's wife, we judged the contestants for the costumes, and I don't think I've ever seen so many people participate, and it was just absolutely awesome. So that's one of our events that's just fun thing to do and be part of. So thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, I just want to thank staff again for all the stuff they're doing with all these special activities and events that we have done recently. And of course, coming up, we have a whole slew of stuff coming up with the Christmas parade and everything else, and Breakfast with Santa and everything. And I also want to thank even though they've already left, but I want to thank the members from the community who partner with us to make this a better community, because without all that partnership, working with all these volunteers across the town, we couldn't do even a half of the stuff that we're doing now. Thank you very much.
I've done some traveling recently, and I just want to say, when you travel, the first thing that you figure out is how great of a place this is to live. That's number one. Number two, one of the places I went was Dallas recently. First thing I noticed was how much cheaper the gas is. It was like $2.30 for regular. I was shocked. And then the gas here hadn't even gone up yet when that happened. So get prepared for more nickels to come out of your paycheck. And then the last thing was I probably didn't even plan on doing this. My wife lined it up, and we got to visit Daley Plaza, where the assassination occurred in November of 1963. After I got there, I was so glad that I went there. And so anybody going to Dallas should definitely take that in. The first thing you'll notice is how small the area is. On the pictures and so forth, it looks like it's a big, giant area. It's not. It is so small. I also got a chance to look out, not the window, because they don't let you look out the window. It's all glassed in. It's like a shrine or something. You get to look out the window right next to it. And anybody that's ever had any experience with rifles and so forth should certainly do that, because when you look out that window, you're going to instantly draw a conclusion. And so I urge everyone to do that. If you're in Dallas, definitely take that in. Good night.
Mark?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Bob and Matt and Nick for the progress they made on the capital projects. I know in past years we've allocated all these ideas that we want to get to capital projects, and we typically don't get to about half of them, and a lot of that has to do with the money being available. But we've got that situation much better under control, and I'm now really confident we're actually going to get to the full $1 million worth of capital projects that we have in our budget this year. So I just wanted to thank you guys, because I know this stuff isn't easy, and of course when we throw a monkey wrench like we just did at the driveway, it doesn't make it any easier. But I really appreciate how well you're doing with that. The other thing is that I wanted to thank Julie Navarro and my wife Kathleen for helping with the costume contest. I can't really think of many decisions I have that are harder than looking at 40 kids 0 to 3 and deciding which 3 of them are going to get a prize for their costumes, because they're all so enthusiastic and having so much fun. It's such a blast to be a part of that event. It's really great. And I'd also like to thank the staff, because they keep thinking of new things to do with it every year. And we haven't had the animal demonstrations before, and that was a really neat thing, to expose kids to those sort of things that they don't do normally in life, and they're not expecting to when they're going to trick or treat. But whether they like it or not, they're going to get an education about things that matter. So it was a really great event. I just wanted to say thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. And I also wanted to thank the staff for in putting up with us at times. Just like Director Molay said, throwing wrenches into plans that you put a lot of hard work into, I'm sure. This isn't the first time we've done that. We did the same thing on the patio project, and I can imagine we've done it other times before. So appreciate your hard work, and you guys do a fantastic job. The community really appreciates it. So you can see that on our needs assessment. I think the community is recognizing what a good job you guys do and how dedicated you are. So thank you very much. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.
Gee, 2 hours.
But if you wanted to, I'm just saying. It's up to you. Because it may take,
Yeah, because
we're going to need some time to bring everybody up to speed and take.
Yeah, we may end up.
We may